Who do we have there at the jail? Okay, I need you to unmute. Can you unmute there?
Okay.
There you go. And what is your name, please?
Maria Aguayo?
Maria. Okay, hang on just a second. I'm going to get the judge and your lawyer and the DA in, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, Judge. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Thank you.
but not, Dan, not very loud.
But what?
Can you turn yourself up just a little bit?
Yes. Is this
Mrs.
better
White,
here, Judge?
Not much.
Okay, I'll be closer to the camera and speak louder.
Thank you.
Ms. Aguayo, do you see your lawyer there?
Yes.
Dan?
This one.
Okay, very good. Okay, and I have Audrey is here too, so I think we're ready.
Very good. The court will now call case number 6628. Is this just count one or is there another count, Mr. Marable?
Looks like. What's the cause number again, Your Honor?
No, cause number 6628 counts 1, 2, and 3. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Looks correct, Your Honor.
And all of these are the state of Texas versus Maria Agualo. Is the state ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
And is defense ready to proceed?
We're ready, Your Honor.
And for the record, ma'am, are you Maria Agualo?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Agualo, you have been charged in case number 6628. Hold on a minute, the document is pulling up. 6628 count 1 with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That is a second-degree felony, which means it's punishable by confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division for a term not to exceed 20 years or less than 2 years. In addition, the court can assess a fine not to exceed $10,000. In count 2, you have been charged with possession of a controlled substance. That's a state jail felony, which means it is punishable by confinement in the state jail division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a term not to exceed 2 years or less than 180 days. In addition, the court can assess a fine not to exceed $10,000. And in count 3, you have been charged with theft of property and an amount greater than or equal to $2,500 and less than $30,000. That is also a state jail felony, so it has the same range of punishment from 6 months to 2 years and the same maximum $10,000 fine. Ms. Agualo, you have been charged with all of these offenses by an indictment. Do you want that indictment read to you, or do you waive the reading of that indictment?
I'll waive it.
Ma'am, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I will ask you how you plead to the charges in counts 1, 2, and 3, guilty or not guilty.
Guilty on all 3.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Have you been pressured in any way to get you to make those pleas?
No.
Ms. Agualo, I am looking at a document called a felony plea of guilty waiver stipulation and judicial confession. This is a 14-page document explaining your rights and what you're waiving with your plea. Did you go over that document with your attorney?
I believe so. Yes.
It does appear to have your signature on it. Did you sign that document?
Yes, ma'am.
And by signing that document, are you telling me that you understand that with this plea agreement, you are waiving some rights you have under state law, such as the right to a trial by jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that you're admitting or you're agreeing that all of the evidence the state has against you that you committed these offenses is true?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Agualo, do you believe that you have any issues with understanding, insofar as mental competence goes, anything that's going on in court here today?
No.
All right, thank you. Mr. Seeloff, have you consulted with your client and advised her of her rights?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
Do you believe her to be mentally competent?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And do you approve of her signing these stipulations before the court today?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Does the state concur?
State concurs, Your Honor.
Ms. Agualo, I am signing these stipulations and I will enter them into the court's record as State's Exhibit number 1. Mr. Marable, is there a plea agreement in this case?
There is, Your Honor, in cause number 6628, count 1, in exchange for the defendant's plea of guilt, state recommends the defendant be confined in the TDCJ institutional division for a period of 5 years. Also, that there is a deadly weapons finding in this case, not a firearm. In cause number 6628, count 2, state recommends the defendant be confined in the TDCJ State Jail Division for a period of 20 months. That the defendant also pay restitution in the amount of $180 to the Texas Department of Public Safety. And in count 3 of this case, state recommends the defendant be confined in the TDCJ State Jail Division for a period of 20 months. Also, defendant be given jail time credit for time she served, and all 3 we calculate at 364 days, Your Honor.
364 days?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Agualo, you've heard the plea offer announced by the district attorney's office. Is that the plea that you agreed to?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you concur, Mr. Seeloff?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Agualo, I will follow the recommendation of the district attorney's office. In case number 6628, count 1, I find you guilty of the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Hey, I'm sorry, I hear some talking going on from one of these sources. Does anyone know where that's coming from?
I'm not sure, Your Honor, but I will mute myself just to make sure.
I can
Judge,
hear some yelling from the jail, Your Honor. I don't know if that's what you're
Oh,
hearing.
perhaps it's because it's having a
There's-
difficult time hearing as it is.
It's outside our door. If you'll give me just 1 second, I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Thanks for talking.
Okay, they're gone.
Thank you. Right, as I was saying, Ms. Agualo, in case number 6628, count 1, I find you guilty of the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I will also make a finding that a deadly weapon was involved in this offense, not a firearm. and I sentence you to be confined in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 5 years. I do not order that you pay any fines. However, I do order that you pay any outstanding fees and court costs. And I will note that you have 364 days of jail time credit. Do you have any questions about that judgment?
No, ma'am.
In case number 6628, count 2, I find you guilty of the offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1. And I sentence you to be confined for 20 months in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice State Jail Division. I do not order any additional fines. I do order restitution in the amount of $180 payable to the Department of Public Safety to reimburse them for their lab fees and testing the drugs. I order that you pay any outstanding fees and court costs. And again, I note that you have 364 days jail time credit. In case number 6628, count 3, I find you guilty of the offense of theft of property in an amount greater than or equal to $2,500 and less than $30,000. I order that you be confined in the State Jail Division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a term of 20 months. I do not order any fine or any restitution in that case. However, once again, I order that you pay any outstanding fees and court costs. And once again, I note that you have 364 days jail time credit. Ma'am, do you have any questions about those last 2 judgments?
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Agualo, have you been satisfied with your representation by Mr. Seeloff?
Yes.
Has he done everything that you've asked him to do?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Agualo. You may be excused, and I will remand you back to the custody of the Moore County Sheriff's Office to begin serving your sentence. Best wishes to you.
Thank you.
And I believe we have one left from the jail, Your Honor, from Moore County.
Okay, and I have children in the waiting room, so while they get Melissa Subenhang, can we go ahead and do that?
Oh,
Is there anyone there in the Childress jail? You're muted. Dan, you may have to call them again.
that's fine.
Okay, they just disappeared.
Oh, no. I'm calling him right now.
All right, thanks.
They're gonna re-enter the meeting, Judge. I guess they jail personnel issues, but someone's going back in there right now.
All right, thank you. There they are. Good afternoon. Are you Mr. Richard Anthony Madrid?
Yes.
Mr. Madrid, can I ask you, do you see your lawyer? Dan, if you could say something.
Yes.
Hello.
Do you see your lawyer on the screen there, Mr. Madrid?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Ready when you are, Judge.
All right, let me get back to that screen. The court will now call case number 6548, the state of Texas versus Richard Anthony Madrid. Is the state ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
And is defense ready to proceed?
We're ready.
Sir, are you Richard Anthony Madrid?
Yes.
Right, Mr. Madrid, are you the same Richard Anthony Madrid that in December of 2022 pled guilty to the offense of theft of property in an amount less than $2,500 with 2 or more previous convictions?
Yes.
And do you remember at that time you were placed on deferred adjudication, also known as probation, and you were told to follow all of the rules and regulations of probation?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
All right, the state is now alleging that you did not follow all of the terms and conditions of probation. The state is alleging that you failed to abstain from use of a controlled substance, specifically methamphetamine, in March of 2023. And again in March of 2023, that you failed to report to your probation officer in April of 2023, that you failed to make payments to the probation department for January, February, March, and April of 2023, and that you failed to enter Christian Farms Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center in April of 2023. Sir, how do you plead to the state's allegations, true or not true?
True.
Sir, I'm sorry, there was again some noise in the background. Upon your plea of true, I find you guilty of the offense of theft of property in an amount less than $2,500 with 2 or more previous convictions. That will end the guilt innocence phase of this proceeding. We'll now proceed to the punishment phase. Mr. Mirabal, is there a plea agreement in this case?
There is, Your Honor. In exchange for the defendant's plea of true, state recommends the court revoke his probation and adjudicate him guilty, that he be confined in the TDCJ State Jail Division for a period of 12 months and be given credit for time served, which we've calculated at 108 days.
Mr. Madrid, you've heard the district attorney's office announce a plea agreement. Is that the plea agreement that you reached with them?
Yes, it is. I just have a question on the credit days, 108. Is that in 2023 or is it now in 24?
Mr. Madrid,
Let
Oh.
your attorney and or the defense answer that.
may I answer from Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Madrid, we calculated the days credit. Those are accurate. Those are the total days. We checked those yesterday.
So there wasn't no back time?
That's all the back time we had, the 100-day.
That's the back time? What about the 90 days now current?
That's total everything we have when we calculated your days credit yesterday.
That's fine.
Mr. Madrid, I will follow the recommendation of the district attorney's office. I will revoke your probation upon the finding of guilt for this offense, and I sentence you to serve 12 months in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice State Jail Division. I don't order that you pay any additional fine. However, I do order that you pay any outstanding fees and costs. And I note for the record that you have 108 days jail time credit. Do you have any other questions about this judgment?
No,
Mr. Madrid, have you been satisfied with your representation by Mr. Seeloff?
yes,
Has he done everything that you've asked him to do?
yes.
All right, sir. You may be excused. I've signed this judgment. Good luck to you.
Thank you. You too.
That's all you have in Childress, Dan?
Yes, that's correct.
Why can I hear everything so clearly everywhere except on Zoom?
It's, let me take care of it.
I'm going to see if I can turn up something on my computer. Doubt it, but
Judge, I'll explain it to you later, but it's the people in the hallway.
well, I understand the people in the hallway and they're probably being picked up on the camera, but I don't understand why I can barely hear you all on Zoom.
Oh, hello, Ms. Subunhang, can you, are you unmuted? Okay, can you hear us, Ms. Subunhang?
Yes. Or yes.
Oh, that's
Do you see the lawyer there on the screen? Dan, can you say something?
Hey,
Okay.
Ma'am, before we begin, will you pronounce your last name for me?
Siebenhung?
Siebenhong?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. The court will now call case number 6160. Let me pull that up. The state of Texas versus Melissa Nicole Siebenhong. Is the state ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
Is defense ready to proceed?
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
Right, ma'am, for the record, are you Melissa Nicole Siebenhong?
Yes.
Ms. Siebenhong, are you the same Melissa Nicole Siebenhong that in December of 2021 pled guilty to the offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1?
Yes.
And do you recall at that time the judge did not find you guilty, but instead put you on deferred adjudication and
Yes.
told you to follow all of probation's rules, correct?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, the state is alleging that you did not follow all of the rules of probation. The state's alleging that you committed the offense of assault causing bodily injury in Dumas on November 1st of 2022, that you failed to abstain from methamphetamine in January and February of 2022, that you failed to report to your probation officer for the months of September, October, November, and December of 2022, that you failed to make payments to your probation office for the months of March, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December 2022. You failed to complete a drug offender education course, and you failed to complete 120 hours of community service. Ma'am, how do you plead to the state's allegations, true or not true?
True.
Ms. Siebenhong, upon your plea of true, I will revoke your deferred adjudication and find you guilty of the offense of possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1. Mr. Marable, is there a plea agreement in this case?
There is, Your Honor. In exchange for the defendant's plea of true, state recommends the court revoke the defendant's probation, adjudicate her guilty, and sentence her to 14 months confinement in the TDCJ State Jail Division. Additionally, we calculate the defendant be given credit for time served, which we've calculated at 271 days.
Ms. Siebenhong, you've heard the Assistant District Attorney announce a plea agreement. Was that the plea agreement that you reached with him?
Yes.
Do you concur, Mr. Seeloff?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Ms. Siebenhong, I will follow the recommendation of the District Attorney's Office,
Okay.
and I will sentence you to serve 14 months in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice State Jail Division. However, I will note that you have 271 days jail time credit.
Mhm.
I also order you to pay, there is a fine on the judgment of $1,000 that is probably accumulation of your probation fees and any unpaid fines from your previous deferred adjudication. I also order that you pay any outstanding court costs or fees. Do you have any questions about that judgment?
No. No, I don't have any.
Ms. Siebenhong, have you been satisfied with your representation by Mr. Seeloff?
Yes.
Has he done everything that you've asked him to do?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may be excused. I've signed that judgment.
Thank you.
You don't have much time left. I hope everything goes well for you from this point.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
Do I just leave it like this?
Yes, that's fine. You can just leave it there. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Is that all you have, Dan?
Mm,
I believe so. You're excused, Ms. Siebenhong.
thank you.
I believe so, Judge. I don't have, Ian, I think we've done everything.
I don't see anything else. I don't have any other judgments in front of me, so if we do, I'd be, well, but blindsided, so.
All right, well, that's the 3 that I had on my docket. Unless
think-
Shelley
yeah.
knows something else.